This is the new iFootage Nano 2 motorized slider, and this model is the 660, and it gives you about 43.5 centimeters of traveling range. And why would you need a slider? Why would you even want a slider? Because this is not the kind of equipment that you can just pack in your camera bag and take on location and do some quick shots. This requires a little bit of setup time. Not so much actually, but it does require some setup time. But a slider is gonna allow you to do shots that you just cannot do with any other equipment. And it doesn't really matter whether you have a gimbal, whether you are very good with it. You are never gonna get the shots that you're gonna get with a slider. Those tracking shots or tracking out shots where you can go really slow, you cannot do that with a gimbal because you have gravity to compensate against. That's just inevitable because of the nature of using a gimbal. But with a slider, you can set your in and out points. You can literally just press a button and the slider keeps doing it until you press stop, and it's always hitting the same marks. And if you create YouTube videos, TikToks, Instagram Reels, or social media content in general, and want to know not just how this piece of equipment fits in your workflow, but how to create better videos in general, I'm giving away a free ebook that covers every aspect of content creation and how to make better videos. So all you need to do is leave a comment below with the word ebook, and I will send you a direct link so you can download it, and hopefully it's gonna help you create better videos moving forward. I've been using sliders for years, and this range is more often than not what you need. Yes, there are sliders that are 3, 4 foot, 6 and even 8 foot, but those are for very specific and very rare type of shots. More often than not, if you do product photography, this is the traveling range that you use. And one thing that is genuinely great about this slider is that they developed it along with DJI. So if you pair it to an RS2 and RS2 Pro, the RS3 Pro, the RS4 and the 4 Pro, you can then create absolutely amazing looking shots. But even if you don't have any of those specific gimbals, you can create amazing looking shots with the slider. And you're not limited to using a camera. You can use a smartphone using the mount that the slider comes with, or even a Pocket 3, a pocket camera, because this is again a camera and a gimbal, but the shots that you can do handheld are never gonna compare to the shots that you're gonna get when you mount a DJI Pocket 3 or a smartphone or a camera to a slider. Not just the tracking or tracking out shots, but side shots or parallax shots. Those are really very nice and very visual shots that you are not gonna be able to get with anything other than a slider. You can, for instance, invert the slider and mount it upside down, which is fairly easy with just some pole cuts or some stands, because a lot of the times you can't really get up close to a subject unless you have the camera upside down. And one thing that you might find interesting is that I am currently developing a comprehensive course about creating content for social media, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, any social media platform out there. And it's gonna cover anything from framing, composition, lighting, sound, equipment, techniques, post-production, anything and everything that you need to create amazing looking content for any social media platform. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, register your interest by clicking on the link in the video description, and you will be notified the moment the course goes on pre-sale. This gives you such a functionality, and it's so easy to set up as well. All you need to do is press these two buttons here. It releases the slider. You can set your A point, for instance, there. That's my A point, and then I come here and I spin this and I set my B point. And then you have some settings here where you can select the duration of the traveling and the speed of the traveling. So for instance, if you set the slider to travel at 100%, obviously it's gonna be louder than if you set it at 10 or 5%. Let me just show you here. This is set at 10%, okay? So this is the volume, this is the noise that you get when using the slider. Normally the slider would be at a distance and away from the microphone, and the camera would be not just with a small lens, but you might have a 40 or a 50mm lens, and it would be at a distance. You would not hear that, okay? And even this speed is too much. More often than not, you would want to do 5 or even less, 5% or 4%. If you're filming someone, you don't want the camera to be moving too fast. For instance, if you do real estate, okay, you might control the gimbal really good, but there will be situations that you just cannot get the shot right. You pop this on a tripod, and then you can do some really nice side reveals or crane up type of shots where you can go really slow, because maybe that's the shot that you want, and this is gonna give it to you. You don't have to worry about getting the shot right or setting the gimbal in a certain way and maybe compensate for the movement, or maybe there is a slightly jittery. No. This does it, and it does it well. And it's also so easy to use. I mean, it genuinely is so easy. I mean, you got the LCD screen or the operating system here on the actual slider itself, and it's not rocket science, okay? This is really simple. It will take you less than 2 minutes to work it out. I mean, there really is not much to work out. Or you have the app, and this is really well integrated. Everything that you can do in this LCD screen, you can do it when you're using the smartphone, because there might be situations that you are away from the slider and you don't want to be walking up to the slider. Maybe you are in the middle of an interview and you don't want to distract the person that is on camera. So you can control absolutely every parameter from your smartphone. Now, the quality of the materials is fantastic. This is really well built. I mean, you can tell that this is quality, but the traveling, okay, through these roads has this metallic sound. It's very quiet. The microphone is not going to pick it up, but sometimes you wish that this traveling would be a bit less metallic sounding, and that is all the negative that I can think of. I mean, you have all the mounting points that you could possibly need, and if this is too much for you, they have a smaller one that you can literally fit in a rucksack, which might be a better model for you. It depends on what it is that you want to do. And this is something that is going to last you for years. You are investing on a piece of equipment that is going to be relevant for a good 5, 6, if not 10 years. Because when you invest in quality, quality doesn't go out of date. One thing to bear in mind is that as the camera travels to either end of the slider, it's going to have to fight gravity, okay? And what that means is that as the camera gets to either end, the weight of the slider with the camera is greater the further it moves away from the center. So I recommend that you get at least one support arm that you can mount on one end of the slider and then lock it to the legs, and that's gonna stop the slider from tipping down or leaning down as the camera reaches either end of the slider, because that's what you want from a slider. You want a consistent look throughout, and you don't want your frame to go out of whack when it reaches either end of the traveling range. Now, when it comes to the actual payload that this slider can handle, is 7 kilos when it's on the horizontal configuration and 3.5 when it's on a vertical. I think it's more than enough for most configurations, because when you use a slider, you try to minimize the payload that you mount on the actual slider itself. And you can literally be up and running in less than 2 minutes. I mean, mounting this onto a tripod takes no time, and then everything is inside here. You don't need to deal with bars to get the parallax effect as you do with some of the sliders. You just need to basically move the head or rotate the head here as it does, and it recognizes the angle that you choose, and the traveling is super smooth. And you don't just get the traditional traveling, but you can do time lapses, you can do macro shots, you can do stop motion animation. The range of shots that you can do with a single slider is phenomenal. And I don't always use a camera. Sometimes I use a smartphone, sometimes I use a Pocket 3 camera, because it's so tiny. This allows me a lot of the times to get so up close to a subject. So it's only your imagination that is gonna limit how you can use a slider like this in your workflow. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next one.